The solution. Many have said that the solution should be in an independent commission. That may be, but it's not the first place, and it can't be the only solution. Because for two reasons. First of all, with an independent commission of unelected people, we, the voters and taxpayers, just got removed a big step further from the process. At least with legislators in charge, we can hold them accountable through the vote. Also, an independent commission, if it doesn't have the criteria that I'm about to outline, can theoretically at least, if not practically, draw maps that are just as unusable for the voters and taxpayers of this state. So I'm proposing 4, maybe 5 criteria for discussion. I want to be clear, I'm starting a discussion today. I am not proposing lines that have to be followed. I do give examples, concepts of what could have been 10 years ago if we would have followed the criteria that I'm about to outline. First, prohibit the use of political data. By political data, I mean your voting history. The fact that these legislators go in and look to see who you and your neighbors voted for and decide for themselves which one of their districts you should be in. In a democracy, in this republic, we pick our representatives. They shouldn't pick us. By outlawing political data, we can get there. I also consider political data the use of incumbent addresses. In the maps that I'm about to show you, no incumbent addresses were considered. It was completely off the map. If one legislator has to run the district of another, so be it. That's what competition is about. And I've never known it in the history of this state that we were afraid of competition. It shouldn't be absent in our line drawing. We have to preserve, number 2, we have to preserve and protect communities of interest. In the maps I'm about to show you, townships are all together, and very few counties are even split. In Indiana, we're a state, we're a community of interest. By and large, not always the case as in life, but by and large, we're identified by our county. So if you keep counties together, if you make if you make the district lines follow the other political lines, like counties, townships, cities, then you get less confusion. You preserve the communities of interest. We also have to eliminate the sprawling, meandering nature of our districts. So most of our districts, at least some of them, look like a Indiana summer drive on a Sunday. They meander and sprawl throughout the state. There's no need for that. They can be much more compact, much more geocentric. The 4th criteria, we still have to maintain that population balance. That is the reason that we do redistricting, again, to maintain population balance. But it doesn't necessarily have to be as strict as some of our Indiana maps are. The maps I'm about to show you are all legal in our estimation. They've been vetted with the constitutional court cases that have come down, and the variances are within those tolerances as set by the court. By the way, 12 states prohibit political data use, at least in some part. 21 states enforce or respect communities of interest. 36 states have a compactness requirement, and 44 states have some form or fashion of the above, of all the above. 6 states follow all 4 of this criteria. So if Indiana was to adopt as many of these criteria as possible, specifically all 4 of them, we would immediately be at the front of the pack in best practices around the nation. Just like we are turning the corner and being at the front of the line for so many other reforms in this state, economic, cultural, so too we can continue, and we already are in elections on many fronts. This could be another piece of that. Examples. And again, this is conceptual data, conceptual maps. I'm using 2,000 data. And I think that was something that was not talked about in the Star article today. It was looked at like these were the maps that I was going to propose for the future. No one can do that because we haven't had the 2010 census yet. But this is what could have been. One example among 100 if we would have done this way using this criteria last decade. And as you can see right off the bat, the proposed map, the conceptual map on the right, looks much more compact. There's the new 8th district. There's the old one that we saw before. There's what would be the 4th and there's the current 4th now. And you can see the difference. Only 2 counties are split here, and all townships are respected. We went from 12 counties being split down to 2, and townships, there were 2 townships that are split here, 10 townships down to 2 in this map. Next, the House map. Now that's a jigsaw puzzle that looks like I'd like to play with my son one day. On the right is what could have been. One of the many possibilities. In this example, we took the House maps down from 71 counties that were split down to 46, and no township splits, so a lot of improvement there. And the Senate map, which actually is not a bad map when we went and analyzed it, except for there's your alligator from the video. See it right there? Turned on its head, or dinosaur, whatever you want to say. There's what could have been. And in the Senate maps, we went from 48 counties being split up down to 29. And then a 5th criteria that I would submit to you leaders to consider and talk to your legislators about. It has to do with the concept of nesting. We have 100 representatives in the state of Indiana. We have 50 senators, 2 reps for every 1 senator. That means that if we really thought about it, we can conform to all the criteria that I mentioned, keep the population balance, but also have every 2 House districts mirror exactly every 1 Senate district. So imagine that. You're in a given county. You know that you have 1 senator, 2 reps. And if you know who your rep is, you automatically know who your senator is. This is how that would look. These are from the conceptual maps. These, on the left is 1 Senate district in southeast Indiana. On the right are 2 House districts in that very same part of the state. And you'll notice they looked exactly the same. The 2 House districts nest completely and exactly underneath the Senate district. How is that for reducing confusion for the voter? I just proved that it could be done. Each one of these districts in the House and the Senate maps do this very thing. Now let's go back and look at what the Frankton map. Remember the town of Franklin with 2,000 people? Let's see what that would look like now. On the left, of course, you see the old map, and on the right, you see that we were able to preserve the quote-unquote urban core of Frankton, all 2,000 people, and then you see the other district just affecting 1 township in 1 corner of the map, obviously being more rural. Much better sense. Let's look at the Hamilton County map. Old one, new one. They went from 9 House districts to 4 in our example concept maps. Again, much easier to know who your legislator is, and by the way, the districts follow the townships.